Today we talked about converting units of length. We first did it with customary units, and then we did it between metric units. So I showed everybody a way to very easily tell whether you need to multiply or divide when you're converting. And I will put a link to it on this video, which hopefully you're seeing right now. And so then we'll do these problems. So what you do when you have a problem like number 4 is that, okay, we are converting 60 inches into feet. So you just write 60. That's the thing you're converting. Then you ask yourself, am I going from big to small or small to big? Well, we're going from inches, which are smaller, to feet, which are bigger. Okay? And that is division. And then you just write down how many inches are in a foot. And we have that down here. There's 12. So 60 divided by 12 is 5. So 60 inches equals 5 feet. Okay? So next we have blank feet equals 7 yards. Well, I'm going to flip this around, because I don't know about you, but I read from left to right. That's easier. They're both, they're equal, so I can put this one first. It doesn't matter. And so I'm going from yards to feet. First I'm going to write down the number 7. I'm going from yards to feet, which is big to small, so that's multiplication. And there are 3 feet in a yard, so that's 21. So there are 7 yards is 21 feet. Next I have some inequalities. Okay. This one says 8 feet versus 3 yards. Well, we can't compare these two because they are the same. They are different units. So we need to change one of them. So I'll do it both ways. We can either change them both to feet or both to yards. So I will start out by changing the feet to yards. So 8 feet. If I'm going from feet to yards, that's small to big. So that's division. And there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So I divide that by 3. I have 8 divided by 3. 3 goes into 8 2 times. And I have a remainder of 2. So that gives me 2 yards with 2 feet left over. So that's 2 yards, 2 feet, instead of 8 feet. 2 yards with 2 feet left over. That is less than 3 yards. So I get less than. Now I'm going to show you how to do it another way. And I usually pick the bigger unit because you'll see that it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to change yards to feet. And I'm going to, like I said, I prefer to do that because you end up multiplying and you don't get a remainder or anything like that. So it's a little simpler. I always choose the bigger one. So yards are bigger than feet. So I have 3 yards. And since we're going big to small, we multiply. And there are 3 feet in a yard. So I multiply by 3 and I get 9. So now this is 9 feet. So 8 feet versus 9 feet. 8 is less than 9. So now this one here, number 11, we have 2 miles versus 10,500 feet. I'm going to change the miles here to feet. So I have 2 miles. Now I'm going from big to small. That is multiplication. And here I can see there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. I multiply that out. 5,280 times 2. 2 times 0 is 0. 6 times 2 is 6. 8 times 2, excuse me, is 16. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10, so I have 10,560. So 10,560 feet on this side. 10,500 feet on this side, so this one's a little bit bigger. All right, so now let's do some metric problems. So one thing that we learned about the metric system is that, you have this one in the middle. This is meters. Since we're doing length, we're just talking about meters, not grams or liters. And they are sort of like place value. This is 1/10 of a meter. decimeter is 1/10 of a meter. This is 1/100th of a meter. This is 1,000th of a meter. A millimeter is. This is 10 meters, decameter. This is 100 meters. This is 1,000 meters. Kilometer is 1,000 meters. Okay? And I'm going to show you a trick to be able to convert between any of them. Okay, so we have 4,250 centimeters to meters. So I'm going to start out with 4,250 centimeters. Since we're going to from centimeters to meters, that is division, since that's small to big. So we are going from centimeters to meters. Now, what we do, when we change different units in the metric system, it's always going to be a multiple of, or it's going to be a power of 10. It's either going to be 10, 100, 1,000, or something like that. And the math ends up being really easy. So here's how you figure out what the conversion factor is between centimeters and meters. You put a 1 down here, and then you just count how many boxes there are between centimeters and meters. And there are 2. And that's how many zeros are after my 1. And that's it. 4,250 divided by 100. Now, there's some people can do this in their head and get 42.5. If you can't do it in your head, hopefully you remember the shortcut that we learned. Can I change the color here? Yes. And it is, there are 2 zeros here, and since we're dividing by 100, this only works for powers of 10, 100, 100, or 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. But if you have 2 zeros after the 1, that means you move the decimal 2 places over. Now, do we move it to the left or to the right? Well, we're dividing by 100. In other words, we're chopping it up into 100 little pieces. So my answer is going to be smaller. To be smaller, my decimal would have to move to the left. So I'm going to move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2. Boop. So I get 42.5. Here's another way you can do it if you don't remember any of the shortcuts. 4,250 divided by 100. 100 goes into 4 0 times. It goes into 42 0 times. It goes into 425 4 times. And then I put 400 down here, subtract to get 250. 100 goes into 250 2 times. 2 times 100 is 200. I subtract, I get 50. There's nothing more to bring down, but I want a decimal answer, so I'm just going to put a 0.0 there. You can always put a decimal after a whole number, and you can put as many zeros after that as you want. And you bring that 0 down, you have 500. 100 goes into 500. I put my decimal there, and my answer goes in 5 times exactly. And once again, I get 42.5. Okay, so 4,250 centimeters is 42.5 meters. All right, so now I'll do the next problem, which is an inequality. We have 6 kilometers versus 660 meters. Well, once again, I'm going to pick the bigger one because it's easier, which is kilometers. So 6 kilometers. Kilometers versus meters, that's big to small, so that's multiplication. So we need to figure out how many meters are in a kilometer. So I start at meters and I count how many boxes till I get kilometers. 1, 2, 3. So I put a 1 here and then I put 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. And then I get 6,000. So 6 kilometers becomes 6,000 meters, which is much bigger than 660 meters. So it's greater than.